Breaking updates coming in. The Supreme Court has issued a notice to the centre. This is in regard to the BBC documentary. Now the hearing is being taken up in the Supreme Court, with the Supreme Court now issuing a notice to the centre, seeking a response from the centre on the same. The Supreme Court has issued a notice to the centre, Twitter, Google as well, on the pleas, challenging the ban on the BBC docu-series by the centre and also blocking of tweets carrying the links to the documentary. Now the petition that has been filed in the top court cites freedom of speech and expression and citizens' right to know what is in the BBC docu-series. Remember, the petition has been filed by an advocate. It's a joint petition by N. Ram, Mahua Moitra as well as Prashant Bhushan. My colleague and legal editor of Times Now, Harish Nair, joining us on the broadcast with the details. Harish, the Supreme Court taking up the BBC docu-series matter and has sent a notice to the centre. What are the details?
Yes, the Supreme Court was hearing pleas challenging a ban and also blocking of the tweets carrying the links to the documentary. In fact, Supreme Court has issued notice to the centre, Twitter and Google, and has sought the response within 3 weeks and also posted the matter for further hearing in April. The Supreme Court has very significantly directed the centre to produce all records, original records pertaining to decision to ban the BBC documentary, and also for taking down, blocking the several tweets, around 50, more than 50 of them, which had carried the link of the BBC documentary on Twitter. And therefore, this is a very, very big decision order as far as the role of a BBC documentary is concerned. Remember, the petitioners had cited freedom of speech and expression and citizens' right to know. Remember, the petitioners are Advocate M.L. Sharma and joint petition by N. Ram, Mahua Moitra and Prashant Bhushan. And in fact, Advocate Prashant M.L. Sharma had challenged the ban on BBC documentary, calling it as a malified, arbitrary and unconstitutional action. PIL wants Supreme Court to examine both parts of the documentary. It calls the ban...
I request you to stay on with us. We have Advocate M.L. Sharma on the broadcast with us, petitioner in the case. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Sharma. Are you happy with the response of the Supreme Court? Were any observations made when the top court took up your petition?
Yeah, certainly, because the top court have made a difference between both the petitions, number one. Second one, top court have understand the entire situation is to be examined only by way of having the record from the government of India. That's why direction is issued to the government of India. And now the matter is to be decided in two different ways. One way is that one petition is looking the restoration of the tweet that will be restored back. I have nothing to do with that one. As far as my petition is concerned, I am standing for the citizen of India entirely. Every citizen of India have right to view this BBC documentary. So now the notice is issued. Certainly government of India will also react upon this one. And I hope they will remove the restriction without further hearing. I believe so, because the issue of the notice, if government of India go against the constitution, then he should come with a reply and oppose my petition, because I am not for personal. I am for the citizen of India, entire citizen of India rights is guaranteed by the constitution. How government of India can say no to that one? That's why Supreme Court have issued the notice. And now, after issuing the notice, prima facie it is established that the constitution is above law and government of India has to put the entire record. And their reply also is why they should ban this BBC documentary. If BBC documentary cannot be banned, as per the Constitution, the Article 19(1) and 2 will restore back the right of the entire citizen of India. I am very much happy today notice is there. Okay. Otherwise, Supreme Court could have dismissed the petition and could say something different. But issuing the notice calling the record from the government of India is a warning. It's a warning to the central government that why have you banned the BBC documentary despite Constitution guarantee under Article 19(1) and 2. So I'm not me. This is not my personal issue. This is an issue of all citizens of India. They should really be happy that now the Supreme Court is standing for the citizen of India, not for the government of India.
Okay.
Today, the Supreme Court is standing for all the citizens of India. for, right?
So you're saying that this is the Supreme Court asking the centre to give the original records, which is interim victory for the petitioners. Thank you for joining us. Suhasini Ali is also on the broadcast with us. Suhasini Ali, how do you look at the Supreme Court's direction to the centre? In fact, notices have been sent to Twitter and Google as well. But as of now, there's only the next date of hearing that has been fixed. As of now, the Supreme Court has only given a notice to the centre seeking its response on a ban on the BBC docuseries.
Well, of course, it is better than the Supreme Court saying that, this, they don't want to look into this or go into this. It's better than that. But giving such a long time to the government just to give an answer, and then once that is done, then the government can ask for more time. And unfortunately, it just becomes very prolonged, and it's no decision is given fast. It will lose its relevance. But other than that, of course, we should welcome the fact that the government has been asked to explain its stand on this. And then now we can only wait and see what happens in the
Okay, all right. Mr. Suhasini Ali, thank you for joining us. Majid Memon of the TMC also on the broadcast with us. Mr. Memon, the centre all this while has been saying this is just propaganda and has banned it. As of now, do you say this is interim victory for the petitioners because the Supreme Court didn't dismiss this petition but has given a notice to the centre, Twitter and Google seeking its response?
No, the fact that the Honorable Supreme Court has issued notices to all concerned, including to the government of India, is presupposing of the fact that the Honorable Supreme Court does believe that it is an important matter and a right to know is of Indian citizen is certainly of great significance. But in any event, we should not preempt as to what is the Supreme Court going to do once the Supreme Court gets Peter and in government
All right, so interim victory, that's how the petitioners are seeing it. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Mahesh Jethmalani on the phone line with us. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Jethmalani. The opposition and the petitioners are also saying the fact that a notice has been given is interim victory for the petitioners.
Well, I mean, the petitioners can console themselves and clutch at pieces of straw. Whenever there's a ban, right, a notice was almost mandatory in this case. But anyway, while they
the petitioners are saying the Supreme Court didn't dismiss the petition that was filed by them, so this means that the Supreme Court is looking at the merits of the case.
Of course they are. The ban will have to be justified. Governments don't just ban courts once somebody brings something to their notice. It's a freedom of expression issue. Then the courts will want to find out from the government. But they've kept it in April and they haven't stayed the ban.
So are you confident that the ban will be upheld by the Supreme Court?
Look, I don't second guess the Supreme Court, unfortunately, like everybody else does. I'm not used to that. The Supreme Court will do it on its own consideration. It'll weigh the pros and cons of the matter, the case advanced, and then decide the issue. But at the moment, I think it's premature for anybody to start gloating about a notice being issued. But such is the nature of this is political. I mean, Prashant, Bhushan and the others are all, they are political creatures. So they want to make political capital out of it. A mere notice being issued for them is a huge thing. But let's wait for the final result.
Okay. Lastly, I just want to ask you, for those who have joined us on the broadcast from the opposition saying that, this is a big setback for the government because the government has been asked to provide the original documents, original records in this case. What do you have to say to the opposition that is saying that the fact that the Supreme Court is looking into the case itself is a setback for the government?
I don't think so, because as I very clearly said, a notice in the case of a ban, which is a prohibition on freedom of expression, right? The government will have to justify the ban to the court, right? I mean, there's a documentary produced. We have freedom of expression as a constitution article of faith. And it was not done. The state didn't go and, the state didn't go and oppose the issue. The state wasn't even represented. So where is the question? I don't know. The state opened its mouth at this thing. And there'll be intervention in this case, I can rest assured. And, we will also be going after the bona fides of those who are doing it.
Okay.
Okay. The government and those who are in support of the ban will also have their day in the court. And ex-party notice, right, is something which no sensible person will gloat about.
Okay, all right. Mr. Jethmalani, thank you for joining us on the broadcast. Going back to legal editor Harish Nair. Harish, interesting reactions that are coming in after the Supreme Court issued notices to Centre, Twitter and Google, also asking for original records in the case. The petitioners say that this is interim victory for us because notices have been sent. Mr. Mahesh Jethmalani saying that this is just a procedure being followed. So what's going to happen next? When is the date of hearing that has been decided by the Supreme Court? What's expected? Harish?
Yes, can you please repeat the question?
Harish, interesting reactions that are coming in from both the sides. The government says that there was no representation, which is why it has been asked for the original records and the notice has been sent, as is the procedure. So this is not a setback per se, as is being claimed by the petitioners. When is the next date of hearing in the case and what's expected?
Yes, in fact, that is the procedure. In fact, today was the first day when the petitions were taken up for hearing, and always in a PIL on the first date of hearing, the other parties will not be present, and today the government was not present. So that is why the Supreme Court has agreed to examine the whole issue, that is the ban imposed on the BBC documentary, and also taking down of, in fact, blocking of more than 50 tweets which had links of the BBC documentary. So as a first step, the Supreme Court has agreed to listen to the centre. So therefore it has issued notice to the centre, Google and Twitter, so that they also become a part of the proceedings and can place their views, place their stance, because no order can be passed, no directions can be issued, no judgment can be passed, no orders issued without hearing both sides, and it cannot be an ex parte hearing. Okay. Therefore, as per the procedure, the Supreme Court has today issued notice to the centre, Twitter and Google, yes, and they have been asked to respond within 3 weeks, and the next date of hearing will be fixed in April. Back to you.
All right, so it will be fixed in April, but as of now, no interim stay on the ban, which means that the ban that the centre has placed on the docu-series stays until now. Harish, thank you for joining us with those details.